Hello and welcome back to my tarot corner. Now, this is not a Rider-Waite tarot deck. It is actually called Arcanum. And in this reading, I want to check something about the award that Harry is supposed to give to American soldiers, veterans. And I saw an article today that says that the veterans refuse to get the award from Harry, which I can really understand because he represents everything that they do not. He represents disloyalty, he represents even being a traitor in a way, and this I wouldn't, and he's not an American, so I wouldn't blame them for not wanting to get the award from him. So I am going to do a horseshoe spread and check this issue as well. So first I'm going to clear the deck. And now I'm going to ask, so American veterans refuse to get an award from Prince Harry. American veterans refuse to get an award from Prince Harry. American veterans refuse to get an award from Prince Harry. So the first card, as always, is the significator card, and it gives us an overview of the whole situation, and we get the Five of Cups. And the Five of Cups is a card of despair, and this is a card of being in doubts regarding the situation. This is a card of being in a place where in depression, lack of trust and despair. So I would say that this, the fact that the veterans don't want him to give that award is causing him to feel isolated and in some kind of despair. It also aggravates is this, depression. But another thing is that the reason that they don't want him to give that award is lack of trust. They just don't trust him. And this is a card of negative self-fulfillment. So he wants to self-fulfill himself, but in a negative way. So this is the significator. Now the next card is the past card, the past condition, and we get the Ten of Swords. So the Ten of Swords, as I said many times, is a card of if you are either within the storm or the storm has already passed and you are able to see the sunlight coming from far, far away. In this card, we see a woman and not a man, and she also with her head up high, and so she might be able to see the sunlight. But this is the card that speaks about the past. So we see here someone who is in some kind of rock bottom situation, someone who is in a crisis, someone who has gone something very, very difficult. And this can represent the soldiers that went through a storm when they were soldiers, went through very difficult times, and now they can see the light in the tunnel. And as for Prince Harry, I would say that he is still going through the storm and he cannot see the sunlight coming. But this card is negatively aspecting everything, and When the Ten of Cups, when the Ten of Swords arrives, so we also have to think about someone who is conducting himself out of feeling danger, and someone who feels destruction. This can also be pessimism, disease, and difficulty to rehabilitate, and someone who feels that he is a sacrifice. And this is very much the way Harry depicts himself, as being the someone who sacrificed himself. He is not healthy, at least not mentally. He feels destruction, and he doesn't have a very good possibility to rehabilitate as long as he is in the same atmosphere that he is right now. So this card has two meanings. It can be the soldiers that already went through the storm and can see the sunlight coming, and Harry that is still going through that storm. Now, the present question, which is why those soldiers don't want him to give the award, is the Strength card. And the Strength card is a card that speaks about finding your strength from within. And they are people that are very, very strong. There is no doubt about that, yes? And they can find, and a soldier can find strength from within himself, and this is a card that represents soldiers very much. This is someone who is confident and has courage and has faith. But when we're looking at it in the negative way, because it comes after the Ten of Swords, it is also someone who is acting from insecurities and difficulties to self-fulfill himself, someone who has tendencies to addictions, lack of control. So all of these things are things that can represent Prince Harry, and the positive things, I would say, represent the American soldiers, and this is why they don't want him to give them the award, because they don't want to get an award from someone who is insecure, who is in lack of control, who is using them in order to find some kind of clout, and using them in order to find some kind of self-fulfillment, because this is what it is. He's not giving them this award because he respects them, but it is all self-serving, and they understand that. Now, they don't need that. They have their own strength. Their strength is coming from within. They have their own courage, their own faith. They don't need someone who is using them. So this is the present question and the future outlook. So what is the future outlook? And we get the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups speaks about letting go, leaving. So this card actually tells him, leave that, let it go. This is a card that speaks about giving the universe the option to do things as the universe sees fit. And when it is negatively aspected, we're speaking about despair, once again, about someone who is unwilling to give up, someone who has problems with his mother. Another card that speaks about mothers, and we get that a lot with Prince Harry because he does have problems with his mother. And the moon is something that represents a mother in the tarot, and here we can see the moon very clearly. So this is a card that speaks about letting go. This is a card that calls Harry to let go and leave the situation, but he will not do that because he is desperate, because he is unwilling to give up. and this is the near future outcome. Now, what is the best approach to the situation? And the best approach to the situation is the Two of Pentacles. Now, the Two of Pentacles is a card that speaks about fake conflict. Someone who wants others to think that he is in some kind of a conflict, that someone who is skeptic, someone who is insecure, but he actually knows exactly what he means to do. This is someone who has tendency to give others to let others decide for him, someone who is not deciding by himself, and we see that time after time with Prince Harry. So this is his best way to approach the situation. Just let others decide for him, to look as if he is in a conflict, but he actually isn't. And the attitude of the others. So let's see what the attitude of the others is, and we get the Five of Swords. Now, the Five of Swords is a card of struggle. It is a card of fighting, but it is also, and which is very fitting for soldiers. But it is also a card that speaks about taking action and not sitting on the fence. And when this card comes up, it tells the person, in this instance Harry, start being active and don't be passive. Don't let others decide for you. Don't act out of fear. Don't act out of being isolated or unsatisfied from what you have. But this is exactly what he will do, because it is negatively aspected by everything we have here. So this is someone who is, when it is negatively aspect, this is someone who is passive, someone who is a fence sitter and lets others decide for him. And this is how those veterans see him, and this is why they don't want him to give them any awards. So this is the 5th card, and the 6th card is, put it here, is challenges to be faced. So the challenges to be faced is the 6 of Cups. And the 6 of Cups is the second chances card. It is the card of getting out of your comfort zone. And this is a challenge. This is something that he will need to do, and to get out of his comfort zone and start doing things differently. This is a card that calls him to rectify the errors of the past, and this is a challenge. It's a challenge that it will be very hard for him to do, because when it is negatively aspected, we see a person that remains in the past and cannot learn from past mistakes, has difficulty to get out of unhealthy relationships, has a tendency to fantasize and get away from reality. So this is a major challenge for Prince Harry. And the final card is the final outcome. So what will the final outcome say? And we get the Magician. Now, the Magician is a person who can create from nothing. He is the one that can do everything. He is the one who can initiate. He has intuition. But when it is negatively aspect, we see someone who has problems with communication, who is confused, egotistical, and has a tendency to manipulate, fear to act, and looking outside for affirmation. And this is exactly Harry as he is today. Maybe in the past he was the magician in the in the positive aspects. But what he is today is exactly this person, the magician, but negatively aspect. Someone who cannot communicate, someone who is completely confused, who is full of ego, who is manipulating everyone and has fear to act and is waiting for others to act for him. So this is the spread about the tarot spread, and the oracle deck that I chose is called the Hero Journey. It is a small, nice oracle deck, and I just chose it because we are talking about giving awards to heroes. So, but it also speaks about dreams. This is a dream oracle. So let's see what the Hero Journey oracles has to say about this situation. So first I'm going to clear the energies. And now I'm going to ask. So Prince Harry, unwanted by the veterans. Veterans don't want Prince Harry to give them the award. Veterans don't want Prince Harry to give them the awards. And let's see what we get. And we get, what would your higher self do? You are divinely in blue jeans. Okay, so we've seen Harry wearing his blue jeans all the time, and there were some jokes about him not being able to buy clothes because all of the clothing budget goes to his wife. But what this card asks him, what would you do? What would your higher self do? This is a card that tells him to look inside himself, to look inside and to see what his higher self would do, what is the right thing to do. And as long as he doesn't do that, he won't be able to succeed, and nobody will want him to give anything. So this is it for this subject, and I hope you liked it. And if you did, please like and subscribe, and write me a comment, write me an email, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.